Hey everyone, welcome to Data Millennials. I'm Atul, and in this video we are going to see how we can create and customize 100% stacked area chart in Google Data Studio or Looker. So we will be creating this 100% stacked area chart which you can see on your screen from scratch. But before we go ahead and start creating this 100% stacked area chart, let's first discuss what exactly is the 100% stacked area chart and how it can be useful in your dashboard. So an 100% area chart is a variation of the line chart or the time series chart. It uses shaded areas under the plotted line on the graph to indicate the volume of data represented by the lines. Like a time series, this 100% stacked area chart are useful for seeing how your data trends over a specific period of time. As you can see here, this 100% stacked area chart lets you visualize a single dimension or the breakdown dimensions and a single metric, which is number of items sold over here in our example, is plotted over a specific period of time. More specifically, you can say that 100% stacked area chart shows the contribution of each data series to 100% of total value. So what it means is that let's take an example over here. On 7th January, we have two series for two different countries here, India 96 and Bahrain 18, which is India is IN, Bahrain is BH. And you can see over here, when I keep my mouse on that data point, that India is 96, which contributes to 84.21%, and Bahrain is 18, which is 15.79%. So this 100% stacked area chart indicates the volume of data represented by these two series, India and Bahrain. So you can see that India constitutes of 84% of this area, while from this point till this point is the 15.79%, which constitutes the Bahrain. So you can see the percentage of allocation of the area within this 100% stacked area chart. So let's go and create a simple 100% stacked area chart in Looker or Google Data Studio. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on edit over here so that I can start creating this chart. So first I'll add a page so that I can show you how you can create this chart from scratch. Before we go ahead, I'll just copy this header and put it over here. Okay. Now, in order to select an 100% stacked area chart, the first thing that you need is a data source. If you have added your data source in your report, then you can go ahead and start adding the chart. But if you have not added the data source, what you can do is that you can go to resources, click on manage add data sources. Then you can click on add a data source, which will take you to this page, and then you can select a connector, Google connector, and load your data. Once you have loaded your data, then you can start creating the chart. To add a chart, what you need to do is that you need to come over here and click on this add a chart option and select 100% stacked area chart under this area, this second option of 100% stacked area chart. Once you click on it, then Looker will allow you to add the chart widget on your blank page. Once you have added that chart, then Looker will add some of the dimensions and the matrices by default, which we'll see over here in the setup section, and we'll go and discuss about each and every option that is present over here in setup as well as in style. And as we will discussing about it, we'll keep on updating our chart also. So the first thing that we have over here is the setup. So this option in a chart setup panel determines how the data is organized and displays. And within this setup section, the first option that we have is data source. A data source provides the connection between the component and the underlying data set. As I have my data set over here, which is area chart data, which is on Google Sheet. So I have this area chart data over here where I have country code, where I have number of items sold in 1000, and on which date these items were sold within these countries. Okay. So I have already added this data source, so I don't need to select the data source over here. But if you have added more than one data source, then what you can do is that you can change your data source also for this chart. You just have to click over here and then you can select any of the added data source from here. But if you want to add a new data source for this chart, what you can do is that you can click over here, add a data, then Looker will take you to this connector to data, and you can select the connector and you can load your data. Now the second option under this setup is the date range dimension. This option appears if your data source has a valid date dimension column. If your source doesn't have a date column, then this will always be blank. For example, for us in our data, we have a date column over here. So Looker has automatically detected it as a date column and it has selected it over here. Now the next option under this setup is dimension. So for a 100% stacked area chart, the dimension over here is actually the time dimension, and a time dimension provides a time-based x-axis for your chart. The data type of this dimension determines the level of the time series. For example, in order to visualize daily data, we'll use this date data type with the full year, month and day value as we have over here in our Google Sheet data. Now under this dimension, you have this drill down option. This option appears on chart when the chart supports it. So this 100% stacked area chart support the drill down option. That's why we have this drill down option over here. Drill down or drilling down gives viewer a way to reveal additional information or additional level of details within a chart. When you turn on this drill down option, each dimension, for example, for us, Looker has automatically selected the year, month and date. So each of these dimensions become another level of detail which you can drill down to. But for us, we do not want the drill down option to appear on our chart, so we'll keep it off. Now the next option that we have over here is breakdown dimension. The breakdown dimension displays the metric data broken down according to the selected dimension. For us in our data, we have country ISO code, and these two country ISO code represent Bahrain and India. Now if we have another column over here by which we want to display the metric data, then we can select another column over here. But for us, we only have country ISO code here in our example. So we want the breakdown dimension or the series to be broken down into these two countries which is present over here, India and Bahrain. Okay, so we are not going to change it anything. We'll select country code ISO 2. Now the next option within setup is metric. So this metric measures the things contained in the dimensions and provide the numerical scale and data series for the chart. So instead of count record, I want the dimension to be this number of items sold in 1000. So I'll select it over here and you will see that our graph will change. Now the next option that we have over here is optional metrics. If you have an additional optional metrics which you want to show on your chart, then you can select this optional metric and add the optional metrics from here. But as we do not have anything, so we'll keep it off. Then we have an option of metric slider. If you select this option, what will happen is that in your graph you will have this metric slider option appeared, where your user or you can select a range of value for your metric and your graph will display data based on your selection. So at this point of time, let's clear this up, but we'll keep this metric slider on. Now the next option that we have over here within setup is breakdown dimension sort. So if you want to sort your graph based on the breakdown dimension, you can select the column here and then you can either sort your dimension in ascending order or in descending order. Okay. Now the second last option within setup is the default date range. So most often what happens is that if you are creating a report or dashboard for a specific period of time, then you can select this custom default date range and you have an option, a lot of option given by Looker to select the dates from here. You can select last 7 days, last 14 days, and your data will reflect over here for the last 14 days. But most often what happens is that the user wants to select the date based on their requirement. So you should always select auto so that any user can come on your dashboard and select the dates based on their requirement. Now the last option that we have over here under the setup section is filter. If you want to apply any kind of filtration on your chart, then you can add a filter from here. You just have to click add a filter, then you have to click on create a filter, and Looker will give us an option to create filter. So the first thing that you need to do while creating a filter is that you need to give a name of the filtration, so that whenever you open your dashboard in future, you can basically understand from the name that what exactly this filter does. Suppose you want to exclude for a certain date, then what you can do is that you can put a name such as a specific date exclusion. Then you will select exclude, then you will select the field which is date, then you will put a condition says equal to, and then you will put the date value over here. Okay, as we are not going to add any filter, so that all the data which is present in our raw data sheet can be displayed over here in our chart, so we'll not add any filter. Now let's go and click on view to see how exactly our chart appears over here. Right now this chart doesn't give us a lot more information. Only the thing is that it gives us the information when we go to a data point or keep our mouse on the data point. So we can make this chart more visually appealing by going and updating few of the things in the style property of chart. So let's go and see what exactly is the style property. So a chart style property controls the overall presentation and appearance of your chart. Within this style property, the first option is the show stack. When it is checked, it stacks the data series on top of each other. So by default, when you are using a 100% stacked area chart, then Looker will always select this show stack and 100% stacking. This 100% stacking shows the contribution of each data series to 100%. So for example, let's take an example of one day, which is 4th of January 2023. Now the total number of sales that has been done on 4th of January is 49, right? Now if I take the percentage of Bahrain, which is 23 divided by 49, which is around 47%, right? And the similar thing if I do for India, it is 53%, and if we combine these two, then it makes 100%, right? So for 4th of January, out of 100% of sale, 46% is contributed in Bahrain and 53% is contributed in India. So India has done more sales as compared to Bahrain. Now if we go to our 100% stack chart on 4th of January, you will see over here that this area which is in blue is India, and it basically covers the, okay, let me go to view. It basically covers 53% area of this stack area chart, while Bahrain covers only the 46.94% of this chart area. Okay, let's go back to edit and see other options. The next option is show cumulative. If you want to show cumulative, then you can select this option. When this show cumulative is checked, data series are summed over time. Otherwise, the data is shown in with no additional aggregation. Now the next point is show points. It displays the individual data points. Viewer can put their mouse over a data point to display its value. So earlier we were unable to see these data points as circular, but when we check this, then you can see that the data point is displayed. Now the next option that we have is show data labels. It displays the individual values of the data point in the series. Okay. Now if you uncheck this, you won't be able to see any data label, but if we check this, then you will be able to see the data labels here. When you uncheck this, you will see that you are not seeing any additional options which is available over here, but when we check this show data label, then we are able to see this compact number and decimal precision. If I go to this compact number, then for this compact number, it's mandatory to turn on the show data label to see this option, and this compact number will round the number and displays the unit indicator. For example, suppose on a particular date you have sales above 100,000 or 200,000, then the value that will be displayed over here is 100k or 200k. Now for decimal precision, it's mandatory for you to turn on the show data labels to see this option, as it sets the number of decimal places in your matrix value. You can select the decimal precision at 2, 3, or you can select the decimal precision as auto. Now the next option that we have is number of series. As you can see on this graph, we have two series, India and Bahrain. By default, Looker will provide you 10 series, but you can increase it up to 20. Now within this style section, the next option that we have over here is color by. So this section controls how your data is colored in your chart. And the first option over here is series order. When we select this option, it uses the current theme to color the data accordingly to its position in the chart. It's all about position in the chart. This option emphasizes the ranking of the data over the identity of the data. We can set specific colors using each data series using the color picker. So as you can see, if you will count, you have 20 color picker over here, because by default or at maximum Looker provides us 20 series. Okay, so as we are using 2 series, let's keep it at 2. You will see that you have only 2 colors over here which you can select. Now if I want to select this color as red, I can select it. So the first series, which is India, is changed to color red, and let's change this series Bahrain to black. Okay, now the another option that we have over here is dimension value. Dimension value, it colors each of the dimension value in the chart with the color specified in the dimension value color map, which you can manage over here. You can see that you have color and their values. This option ensures that your data uses color consistently regardless of the position of the data in the chart or the rank or ranking of the data over the identity of the data. But for us, we'll select series order because this red and black combination looks much visually appealing. Now the next option over here is missing data. In 100% stack chart, we have two options for missing data, line to zero and line break. So this missing data option appears, and it will make sense when your data has missing dates. So suppose in this data we do not have any missing dates, right? In order to show the difference, let's remove 2 date from here. Okay, let me copy paste it as value, and let's remove 2 dates for 8th of January. Okay, and before I go and refresh this page, just see that we have missing data as line to 0, and this is the default value which Looker will select for you. When you select this option, a line series will drop to 0 for the missing dates. So we had removed date for 8th of January, right? So you can see here 8th of January we have data, but when we refresh it, then it will go to 0 because we have selected line to 0. So let's refresh this data. So as I have told you that line to 0 will drop to 0 for the missing dates, and it has dropped. Then the next option that we have for this missing data is line break. When this option is selected, missing data appears as break in the data series. So let's go back and undo this and refresh data so that we will have a complete data plotted on our graph. Now the next option within style is axis. These options control the display of the chart axis title and scales. The first option within axis is show axis. It shows or hides the chart axis. As you can see here, I have unchecked this, then the chart axes are hidden. If I select this, then the chart axes are present. The next option that we have is reverse y-axis direction. It controls the vertical display of the y-axis. Then we have reverse x-axis direction. It controls the horizontal display of x-axis. Now the next option within style is left y-axis. Within left y-axis, the first option that you have is show axis title. It shows or hides the axis label here in y-axis. Then you have axis minimum and axis maximum. It sets the minimum and maximum value for your y-axis. Then the next option that we have over here is custom hatch mark interval. It controls the interval between the axis ticks, which is over here. Now the next option that we have within left y-axis is log scale. It makes your y-axis scale logarithmic. The similar options that we have over here for x-axis. Then we have this option for grid. This option controls the look of the chart grid. The first option is axis color. It sets the color of your x-axis line. Then we have this grid color. It sets the color of the grid lines. So what I'll do is that I'll select this grid line as transparent so that our 100% stacked area chart is plotted on the transparent background. The next that we have is the font family. If you want to change the font, then you can change the font from here. Then you have axis font size and label font size. You can change the axis font size and the label font size from these two options. Then we have this chart background. If you want to change the background of this chart, then you can change it from here. Then the last option within grid is this chart border color. If you want to change the chart border color, you can select the chart border color from here, and this chart border color will be changed. Now the next option that we have is legend. This option determines the placement of the chart legend, which is over here. If you want to change the legend font color, you can change it from here. Let's keep it as green. And if you want to change the font size, you can change it from here. The next option that we have is the font family. If you want to change the font family of the legend, you can change it from here. Then we have this option of the appearance of your legend. If you have select this, then the legend will not appear. If you select the next option, then the legend will appear on the right hand side. Then this is the bottom. The legend will appear on the bottom of your chart. Then we have this top. The legend will appear on the top of your chart. Now we have alignment. It sets the alignment of the legend relative to the selected position. So we have selected top, and if we select center, then you will see that your legend has moved to center. Similarly, you have an option to select left as well as right. Next we have max lines. This max line sets the number of lines used by the legend. If the number of series over here requires more line, an overflow item can be displayed by clicking over this. So suppose you have 10 series or 15 series in this chart, say as we have 2 series over here, then you can increase the lines to 3 or 5 so that all of your series legends can appear over here. Okay. Then the last option that we have in style is background and border, and we first talk about background. So this background helps you to set the chart background color. Let's select the chart background color as this. Okay. Or let's select something else. Yeah. Now the next option that we have is border radius. Border radius adds the rounded border to the chart background. When the radius is 0 degree, the background shape has 90-degree corners. But when border radius is of 100, it produces a circular shape of the corners. Now the next option that we have over here is opacity. It sets the chart opacity. So 100% chart opacity completely hides the object behind this chart, and the 0% of opacity makes the chart invisible. So it's always advisable to select either 90% or 100% as the opacity. The next option within this background and border is border. So this is the border color. It sets the chart border color. So let's select this color over here. And the next option below this border color is border weight. It sets the chart border line thickness. So let's keep it at 4. Then the last option that we have over here is border style. It sets the chart border style in 4 different ways. So you have solid, which you can see over here, then you have dashed, then the third option that we have is dotted, and the last option that we have is double. So let's keep double over here. Now if we go and view, click on view, you will see that you have your 100% stacked area chart in Looker, which we had created from scratch. So this is how you can create and customize 100% stacked area chart in Looker. Happy learning and see you in the next video.